The morning after changes everything. You wake to a silence that shouldn't exist. The space beside you empty in a way that makes the word empty feel inadequate. This isn't the quiet of someone already awake making coffee. This is the silence that rewrites what silence means. You lie there, and for maybe 15 seconds, you forget. Your body expects to hear familiar movement in the bathroom, the rhythm of another person beginning their day. Then remembering crashes in, and the grief is so physical, you wonder if this is what drowning feels like on dry land. If you're watching this because you've lost your spouse, I want you to know what you're feeling isn't something to fix or rush through. This is one of the most profound transitions a human being can experience. And midlife grief, it carries particular weight we need to talk about. I'm Jessica, and today we're addressing something most midlife content avoids: the reality of losing your person in the middle of your story. Not at the end when you might expect it, but in the middle when you thought you had decades left. Let's be honest about what this does to you. Grief doesn't announce itself with drama. It shows up in the coffee you make for two before remembering, in reaching for your phone to share something funny, then stopping, in the muscle memory of your life together that hasn't gotten the message yet. You notice things, how they always put the milk back on the left side of the fridge, how they were the one who remembered to water the plants, how Saturday mornings had a shape, a rhythm you never consciously noticed until it disappeared. The small things fracture you because you suddenly understand those weren't small things. They were the actual love story, not the wedding or the anniversaries or the big moments, but the Tuesday evenings, the inside jokes, the shorthand you developed over years of being witnessed by someone who knew you. Here's the truth grief reveals. Love was never about the milestones. It was about the million unremarkable moments that become irreplaceable when they're gone. This reshaping happens whether you want it to or not. Your days reorganize around absence. You discover which friends can hold space for this and which ones need you to be better already. You learn that moving forward is both necessary and impossible in ways that coexist. And if you're in midlife when this happens, you face something particularly disorienting. You're not old enough for this to make sense, but you're also too old to imagine starting completely over. Let's talk about something the research shows clearly. Men and women often grieve losing a spouse differently, and understanding this matters. For many women, the grief shows up through connection. You might find yourself needing to talk about your husband endlessly, obsessively, repeating the story of his last days, remembering him aloud, keeping him present through your words. Your friends might think you're not letting go, but what you're doing is integrating. You're trying to make sense of how someone so central to your existence can just stop existing. Women often expand outward in grief. You reach for community, therapy, support groups. You might journal until your hand cramps. You cry in the grocery store when his favorite cereal catches your eye. You're processing externally because that's how you've learned to handle pain, by moving through it in relationship. The challenge? You might feel pressure to be strong for others, your kids, your family, your friends who seem uncomfortable with what your ongoing sorrow is expressing, you might start performing okayness before you actually feel it. For many men, grief gets swallowed. The research shows men often internalize loss, turning inward rather than outward. You might throw yourself into projects, into work, into keeping busy because stillness feels dangerous. You're holding it together because that's what you've been taught strength looks like. You might not cry much or at all, and then wonder if something's wrong with you. You might feel the pressure of being the strong one for your family, especially if you have children watching how you handle this. So you compartmentalize, you function, you put one foot in front of the other. But here's what happens. That swallowed grief doesn't disappear, it accumulates. 3 months later, you're exhausted in a way sleep doesn't fix. 6 months later, you realize you haven't talked really to anyone about how you actually feel. A year later, you wonder why everything feels muted, why joy feels inaccessible. Men often experience what therapists call delayed grief. It shows up later, often when you least expect it, triggered by a song, a smell, finding their handwriting on an old note. And because you haven't been processing it continuously, when it hits hard. The isolation compounds it. Men typically have smaller support networks, fewer friendships where emotional vulnerability is normal. You might not even know how to start that conversation. Here's what I need you to hear. Neither way of grieving is wrong, but both carry risks. Women risk getting stuck in collective processing without internal integration. Men risk internal isolation without the relief of external expression. And both of you might face a world that wants you to move on before you've actually moved through. So let's get specific about what actually helps. If you're a woman grieving your husband, give yourself permission to stop performing resilience. You don't have to be inspirational. You don't have to show everyone how well you're coping. You can fall apart regularly and still be whole. Find at least one person who lets you repeat yourself, who doesn't need you to have new insights or forward progress, who can hear the same story about him for the 15th time without suggesting you're dwelling. But also, and this matters, find moments of internal quiet. Journal when the talking stops. Sit with the silence. Let yourself feel what you feel without needing to explain it to anyone. If you're a man grieving your wife, here's your permission. You are allowed to crack. Strength isn't keeping it together. Strength is being honest about when you're breaking. Find one person you can tell the truth to. Friend, a therapist, a grief group, someone who won't need you to fix it or minimize it. And then practice saying out loud what you're feeling, even if it comes out messy. Let yourself cry in the shower, in your car, wherever it needs to happen. Crying isn't weakness. It's your body releasing what it can't hold anymore. That pressure you feel in your chest, that's not going away through willpower. It needs an exit. Do something with your hands that honors her. Some men build things, restore things, create something physical that becomes a memorial. That's not avoidance. That's processing through action, which is legitimate. For everyone, understand that grief and love are inseparable. The depth of your grief is the depth of your love. You're not grieving wrong. You're loving someone who isn't here anymore. And that's an impossible thing to do gracefully. The marriage didn't end, they died. But what you built together, that stays. It becomes part of who you are now. You don't have to let go to heal. You have to learn to carry them differently. If this is resonating with you, if you're nodding along or feeling seen, would you consider leaving a like on this video? Someone else might be searching for help at 2 a.m, and they need to know they're not alone in this. And that little like goes a long way. It helps them find this conversation. It tells them other people understand. You're not the only one waking up to that silence. Here's what loss in midlife reveals if you let it. You learn what actually mattered. All those years you thought you were building towards something, retirement, travel, that someday when you'd finally slow down. Grief shows you that the life you were waiting to live was already happening in the Tuesday evenings, in the ordinary togetherness you took for granted. This is the gift buried in devastation. You stop postponing. You recognize that life is finite, and love is the only thing you actually get to keep. You discover who you are without them, not because you wanted this lesson, not because you chose this growth, but because loss forces you to meet yourself without the person who helped define you. This isn't about finding yourself in some inspirational sense. It's much harder than that. It's waking up and realizing you have to build a life that makes sense without them. You have to decide who you are when the person who witnessed your becoming isn't here anymore. For some of you, this brings surprising strength. You find capacities you didn't know you had. You handle things you thought would destroy you. You survive what you were certain would kill you. You learn the difference between being alone and being lonely. Aloneness is a state. Loneliness is missing them. You can be surrounded by people and devastatingly lonely. You can be completely alone and feel them with you still. If you're in this right now, if you woke up to that silence this morning, here's what I want you to know. There's no timeline for this. Anyone who tells you that you should be over it by now doesn't understand that you're not getting over anything. You're learning to live with a permanent before and after. Some days will be better. Some days will feel like day one again. That's not regression. That's grief. And grief isn't linear. You honor them by staying alive to your own life, by letting yourself laugh again without guilt, by eventually, not right away, but eventually, opening yourself to whatever comes next. Not as a replacement, but as continuation. They loved you. The way you honor that love is by letting it change you into someone who understands what actually matters. That's the work now. Not moving on, not getting over it. Learning to carry love that has nowhere to go except into how you live. Eventually, you'll be on the other side of this. Not today, maybe not this year, but you will find your way through. And they would want you to. If you're navigating the complexity of midlife, the transitions, the losses, the unexpected reshaping of everything you thought you knew, please subscribe to this channel. Midlife isn't a crisis. It's a series of reckonings that ask us to become more honest, more whole, more ourselves. I'm here 3 times a week talking about the real work of this season of life, not the highlight reel, but the actual human experience of it. And you don't have to do this alone.